Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 196-foot super yacht Ice Angel, which ran aground in the polar regions of Greenland. So let's get into it. It can be tough to find time to read hundreds of pages with so many distractions around us, which is why we're excited to partner with Blinkist today. Blinkist has the perfect content to help you be a better, smarter, and more knowledgeable you in 2022, and is the only app that condenses non-fiction books to give you the key insights so you can apply those lessons right away. Blinkist has over 5,000 titles in 27 different categories to choose from, which are under 15 minutes. In An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield, you learn that on a space mission, preparation is everything, no matter how intelligent or experienced the astronaut. Most astronauts spend most of their day studying and simulating experience they may never actually go through. This training pushes astronauts to develop a new set of instincts. We might not be going to space, but we want to prepare for life as much as possible whilst on the open sea. And Blinkist allows you to digest useful information to better prepare yourself for the unknown. You can learn a lot in a short amount of time with Blinkist. It's one of my favorite apps and provides exceptional value. I will highly recommend trying it out. And right now, Blinkist has a special offer just for our audience. Click the link in my description to start your free 7-day trial with Blinkist and get 25% off premium membership. In this video, I will be going through the accident report which was issued by the Isle of Man Ship Registry. If you're interested in reading the report in full, I'll put a link to it in the description box below. So the grounding of the motor yacht Ice Angel occurred on the 7th of September 2018. In the morning of the day of the incident, the yacht was at anchor in Nanotalic Anchorage area. Following discussions with the owner on the previous evening, a voyage plan was made for a day cruise to Prince Christian Sund, then planning to return to the Nanotalic Anchorage area for the night. The passage plan route was prepared by the master on the paper charts, then reviewed by the chief officer in accordance with the passage plan checklist. The waypoints on the route were entered into the Transas ECS. Now, ECS is electronic chart system. The yacht weighed anchor and proceeded underway. The intention was to follow the pre-planned route sailing via... Now, apologies for the pronunciations of these places, so do please bear with me. The intention was to follow the pre-planned route sailing via Tosutak and Konok, with occasional stops for the guests to see the glaciers. The yacht was accompanied by a large rib tender boat, which was towed behind the yacht throughout the voyage. Vessel arrives at Kangadaluk Inlet in Prince Christian Sund, where the yacht drifted under the supervision of the chief officer at the helm. The yacht's tender boat was launched under the control of a crew member, where guests could take photographs and briefly walk ashore. The yacht departed Kangadaluk Inlet in Prince Christian Sund with the intention of sailing back to Nanotalic Anchorage. The intention was to sail via the pre-planned route to the east of Angenstock and then through Pamiaglup Kukachwa. Again, apologies for pronunciations. The yacht rounded Angenstock and entered Sivingarup Immer. Present in the wheelhouse were the chief officer at the helm and the master monitoring the route. The chief engineer was on duty in the engine control room. The yacht was sailing on course of 248 degrees true, cruising speed approximately 14.5 knots. After re-entering the planned Transas ECS track after an alteration of course to starboard, the sea state was calm, no wind, and good visibility. The depth sounder was showing water depth of over 30 meters, which was in line with expectations derived from the Transas ECS under kill clearance. The yacht struck an uncharted rock pinnacle in position 59 degrees 55 decimal 638 north, 044 degrees 25 minutes decimal 601 west at a depth of approximately 2 meters. The yacht came to an abrupt stop and the crew felt the yacht shuddering and heard very loud noises, described as banging and scraping. The master stopped the main engines and sounded the general alarm. The yacht quickly listed approximately 15 degrees to port. The master then activated the watertight and fire doors to close from the bridge control panel. Loose items on board the yacht were thrown across to the port side, causing breakages and damage. All crew mustered on the main deck aft muster station and donned immersion suits, with exception of the master and the owner on the bridge, and chief engineer and second engineer in the engine control room. The second engineer and second officer were instructed to proceed along the main deck aft, then to the sun deck to prepare the 2 life rafts on the port side. The master ordered an investigation for damage and water ingress. The bridge alarm system indicated bow thruster and bilge alarms. The chief officer requested permission from the master to go through the forward watertight doors, assisted by a deckhand to investigate the bow thruster alarm. On opening the watertight door, no water was visible. The bow thruster hatch was opened and only a small quantity of water was visible. The bow thruster hatch was then closed and the chief officer and deckhand proceeded to inspect the dry storeroom. A small quantity of water was observed in the bilge. The watertight doors in the crew corridor and bow thruster hatch were left closed, and the chief officer and deckhand returned to the main deck aft. The chief engineer reported a small quantity of water present in the engine control room and no water in the workshop compartment. A bilge fire pump was started in an effort to manage the water accumulation in the bilge. An emergency call was broadcasted on VHF channel 16 to ASIAT radio, and a phone call to the JRCC Greenland was made to communicate the emergency situation and the yacht's position. The chief officer proceeded to the swim step in order to reposition the moorings of the rib tender in tow, then went to the wheelhouse with a deckhand to collect the grab bags, including satellite phones, vessel certificates, crew passports, crew documents, and logbooks. The master instructed the chief officer to call JRCC Greenland to communicate the emergency situation and yacht position. Now, in case you don't know, JRCC stands for Joint Rescue Coordination Center. The chief officer then phoned the yacht's local agents to request the possible assistance of local boats and preparations to assist the crew and guests to arrive in Nanortalik. The master allowed small groups of crew to collect personal items from their cabins. The rib tender was secured with 1 crew member on board. The master attempted to use the yacht's main engines to maneuver off the rocks. The yacht was listing 10 to 15 degrees to port. The tide was falling and a small swell caused the yacht to roll gently on the rock. The master attempted full power astern several times, attempting to turn the yacht by main engine power, bow thruster, and the power of the yacht's rib tender. With the yacht listing to port, the guests and non-essential crew disembarked the yacht to the rib tender. The tide continued to fall, and due to a light swell, the yacht continues to roll, strike the rocks around the underwater hull amidships. The master continued his attempts to maneuver the yacht off the rock, but was not successful. A phone call was made to JRCC Greenland to update the situation. A call on VHF channel 16 was received from ASIAT radio concerning NUC's police request for information and to inform that the NUC police were dispatching a patrol boat to assist. The second officer and second engineer launched the 2 portside life rafts with the painter disconnected so they would not inflate. The crew in the rib tender retrieved the 2 life rafts. The master requested the port main engine and generators to be turned off. The main engine and generator fuel oil supplies were isolated by operating the quick closing valves. The emergency generator was running at the time. The chief engineer checked the engine room and workshop compartment. No water was visible. The chief engineer also observed the possibility of one of the stabilizer shafts shearing off and leading to rapid water ingress. The vessel was listing more than 40 degrees to port, and the yacht continued to roll and impact on the rock. All remaining crew on board, including master, disembarked the yacht to the rib tender. The rib tender was maneuvered around the yacht to assess the condition and sound the water depth. At 20-meter distance from the boat, water depths were between 27 and 65 meters. Remember, they ran aground at 2 meters. A small quantity of fuel oil was also observed in the water. The rib tender with the crew and guests then departed the scene and headed towards Nanotalik, a distance of 29 nautical miles. The master phoned JRCC Greenland to update them on the situation. JRCC Greenland informed the master they had organized an airplane to monitor the area. The master called the company using the satellite phone and informed him of the situation. The emergency response team ashore was immediately activated following a notification of the incident. At 23:30, the rib tender and guests arrived in Nanotalik. All the crew and guests were transferred to a local hotel assisted by the local people. The master called JRCC Greenland to confirm safe arrival of the crew and guests. The master appointed 3 local fishermen to go with their boats and assess the yacht. The next high tide was expected at 0500 local time. The master cooperated with the local police while crew and guests were accommodated in a local hotel. The master, chief engineer, second engineer, chief officer, second officer, and 3 deckhands returned to the grounding location on the yacht's rib tender. The rib tender arrived back at the yacht's last known position. The attending fishermen reported the yacht was floating freely and upright since approximately 0405. Light fuel oil could be smelt in the air. The returning crew embarked the yacht via the swim platform. The emergency generator was observed still running. An onboard damage assessment was then carried out, which confirmed the following. Bow thruster compartment flooded to about half a meter below the hatch. The tank deck dry store flooded to about deck level. No leaks in the tank deck's engineer's workshop. Engine room flooded with a water fuel mix to about 1 meter below deck plates. Flooding was observed in the port generator room and in the vicinity of port fuel tanks. The engineers started the emergency bilge pump to pump out the bow thruster bilge and dry store bilge. The bow thruster compartment and lazarette were also pumped out. The engineers attempted to start the generator sets, which failed to start due to the presence of water in the fuel oil. The police patrol boat arrived at the yacht in order to tow the yacht back to Nanotalik. The yacht's crew prepared emergency towing lines on the bow and connected them to the patrol boat. The police patrol boat began to tow the yacht to Nanotalik with the rib tender connected to the yacht's swim platform in tow. The deck crew and engineers continued their attempt to manage the leaks in the port generator bilge. A generator was started using a temporary fuel line. Electrical power was also restored. The main fire pump and bilge pumps were tested. During the passage back to Nanotalik, the yacht crew continued their attempt to control water ingress and maintain the fuel supply to the generator. At 16:30, the yacht arrived in Nanotalik, where the tow was disconnected and the yacht moored to the pier. The local fire brigade and emergency services were in attendance on the yacht's arrival. An anti-pollution boom was placed around the vessel. The bow thruster and dry stores were pumped out. The fuel oil in the engine room was pumped into storage tanks ashore. So there we have it, guys, a series of unfortunate events. Fortunately, there was no major injuries. More importantly, there was no loss of life. Very little pollution to the marine environment. Yeah, it's we've got to be very careful and understand the charts that we're using, whether it be paper charts or electronic charts, to know how accurate the data is, when that data was collected, because that data could be decades old, and it's very unfortunate. I think reading through this report, the actions of the crew and the master was second to none. When the vessel has run aground and you believe there is an ingress of water, ensure you're closing all the watertight doors. They did that. get the bilge pumps running, muster everybody. They had the tender ready, they got the life rafts ready, they donned their immersion suits because in cold waters. So what's written in this report, I think the crew actually did very, very well. And I think what they did was in accordance to, the regulations, for a vessel that runs aground. So yeah, I think they did very well. Just very, it's unfortunate what happened. As they said, they were, just a few meters away from the yacht. They did soundings, from like 20 meters up to 70 meters. And this pinnacle was at 2 meters. So it's very unfortunate. So again, to all my fellow seafarers out there, be extra careful. Question all the data that you have. Ensure you're using all the equipment. Ensure you're using parallel indexes. You're doing, ranges and bearings by sight. Not only trusting the computers. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and a big thank you to today's video sponsor, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. See you and ciao.